summer 2021. The open road beckoned, a symbol of freedom and adventure for millions across America. For Gabby Petito, a vibrant 22-year-old aspiring travel vlogger, and her fiancé, Brian Laundrie, 23, it was more than just a dream. It was their reality. Hailing from Long Island, New York, and Northport, Florida, this young couple had meticulously converted a white Ford Transit van into their cozy, minimalist home on wheels. Their plan was simple, yet utterly romantic. Embark on an epic cross-country road trip, exploring the majestic national parks and documenting every breathtaking moment for Gabby's burgeoning online audience. This was the allure of van life, an idealized existence of wanderlust and boundless freedom that had captured the hearts of many. Their journey began, as all dreams do, with a hopeful start. Social media posts from July and August painted a picture of idyllic bliss. Gabby's Instagram feed was a kaleidoscope of sun-drenched landscapes from Colorado, Utah, and Wyoming. There were photos of her and Brian smiling, hiking through stunning canyons, embracing under vast, starry skies. Her captions spoke of incredible adventures, shared love, and the joy of living life on their own terms. To the outside world, their van life was a perfect aspirational odyssey, a testament to youthful dreams realized. But beneath this carefully curated online facade, a darker, more tumultuous reality was slowly brewing, hidden from the public eye. As August drew to a close, a subtle yet chilling shift occurred. Gabby's regular, enthusiastic communication with her family began to dwindle. Her calls became less frequent, her messages more sporadic, tinged with an uncharacteristic unease. While her family, used to the occasional communication gaps of cross-country travel, didn't immediately panic, a quiet sense of foreboding began to settle in. It was the kind of feeling that whispers rather than shouts, that something isn't quite right. The last official social media post from Gabby's accounts, a collection of photos uploaded on August 25, 2021, would later be scrutinized with heartbreaking intensity. It showed Gabby smiling, posing in front of a butterfly mural, her face seemingly carefree. Yet in retrospect, the light in her eyes seemed a little less bright, the smile a little less genuine. It was the final public glimpse into a journey that, for Gabby, was about to take a catastrophic, irreversible turn. This was the precipice, the last moment before the dream shattered and plunged into a nightmare, leaving behind only unanswered questions and a chilling silence. The carefree spirit of van life abruptly ended on September 1st, 2021. Brian Laundrie, Gabby's fiancé, drove the white Ford Transit van back to his parents' home in Northport, Florida. The van, once a symbol of shared adventure, now carried a chilling silence. Gabby Petito was not with him. Her absence was immediately glaring, a gaping hole in a journey that was supposed to be a romantic odyssey for two. Gabby's family, desperately trying to contact their daughter, found their calls unanswered. Their frantic messages to Brian Laundrie went ignored. The Laundrie family, instead of offering answers or assistance, refused to allow any contact with Brian, stonewalling Gabby's distraught parents. This immediate, perplexing silence from Brian and his family set off blaring alarm bells. It wasn't just concerning, it was deeply suspicious, transforming a missing persons inquiry into a potential nightmare scenario. Days passed without a word from Gabby. Her family, overwhelmed with fear and frustration, made the agonizing decision to officially report her missing. On September 11, 2021, Gabby Petito was reported as a missing person to the Northport Police Department. This formal step triggered a full-scale investigation, thrusting the quiet Florida suburb into the national spotlight. Law enforcement swiftly acted. Brian Laundrie was immediately declared a person of interest in Gabby's disappearance. Police impounded the Ford Transit van, meticulously searching it for clues that might explain Gabby's whereabouts. The Laundrie family's continued refusal to cooperate with investigators only solidified suspicion. Their silence, once merely concerning, now felt complicit, painting Brian as the undeniable focal point of a rapidly escalating crisis. The story exploded across the nation, fueled by Gabby's active social media presence and Brian's baffling, infuriating behavior. The public, who had followed Gabby's idealized van life journey, was now gripped by a collective outrage. Hashtags like #WhereIsGabby trended relentlessly across social media platforms. Amateur sleuths, fueled by a mixture of concern and indignation, joined the search online, dissecting every detail, every post, every photograph, desperately trying to piece together what had happened to the young vlogger whose dream had seemingly vanished into thin air. The hunt for Gabby Petito had begun, and the world was watching. As the national outcry for Gabby Petito intensified and Brian Laundrie remained stonewalling, a crucial piece of evidence emerged that ripped through the idealized van life narrative. Bodycam footage from a police stop. It was from August 12, 2021, nearly a month before Gabby was reported missing in Moab, Utah. A concerned witness had called 911, reporting a domestic dispute involving a couple and their white van, alleging that Brian Laundrie had hit Gabby. The release of this footage sent shockwaves through the public. It showed a distraught Gabby Petito, visibly upset and crying, explaining to the officers that she and Brian had been arguing for days. She admitted to hitting Brian first, driven by extreme anxiety and the pressure of their cross-country trip. Brian, while appearing calm and composed, was evasive, offering minimal details. The officers, after assessing the situation, ultimately deemed it a mental health crisis rather than a severe domestic assault. They decided to separate the couple for the night, with Gabby staying in the van and Brian in a hotel, but no charges were filed. This raw, unfiltered glimpse into their relationship fundamentally altered public perception. The smiling, carefree couple from social media was replaced by a heartbreaking image of a young woman in distress. The footage ignited a furious debate. Was Gabby a victim of domestic abuse, overlooked by responding officers, or was it a mutually volatile relationship where tensions were boiling over? Regardless of interpretation, it was clear the dream of their van life was a fragile facade, masking deep-seated issues and conflicts that had been escalating in private. The incident at Moab transformed the narrative. It fueled intense speculation about the true nature of their relationship and, chillingly, about what might have transpired after the police stop. Many began to fear the worst, seeing the bodycam footage as a critical warning sign that had been missed or misinterpreted. The questions grew louder. What happened in those final weeks after Utah? Did the conflict intensify, leading to the unthinkable? Amidst this growing public pressure and intense police scrutiny, the mystery took another bewildering turn. On September 14, 2021, Brian Laundrie himself vanished. His parents claimed he had gone for a hike in the vast, treacherous Carlton Reserve in Florida, a dense, swampy wilderness known for its harsh conditions and dangerous wildlife. Days later, they reported him missing, compounding the urgency and complexity of the search. Now, the manhunt was not just for a missing vlogger, but for a fiancé who had become the prime person of interest in her disappearance, now himself a ghost in the vast, unforgiving landscape. With Brian Laundrie's sudden disappearance, the case of Gabby Petito exploded into an unprecedented dual manhunt. The immediate focus remained on finding Gabby. Law enforcement agencies, including the FBI, launched a massive, multi-agency search across the vast and rugged landscapes of Grand Teton National Park and the Bridger-Teton National Forest in Wyoming. This was an immense undertaking. The terrain was unforgiving, sprawling wilderness with dense forests, treacherous trails, and unpredictable weather. Search teams using drones, K-9 units, and specialized equipment combed every inch of land, driven by the desperate hope of finding Gabby alive. The world watched, captivated and horrified, as the search intensified. And then, the worst fears were tragically confirmed. On September 19, 2021, after an agonizing week of searching, Gabby Petito's remains were discovered in a remote, primitive campsite in the Bridger-Teton National Forest. The Teton County coroner later officially ruled her death a homicide by strangulation. The idyllic van life dream had ended in unimaginable horror. Gabby's death immediately transformed the investigation. Brian Laundrie, who had previously been a person of interest, was now officially the prime suspect in her murder. The focus of the manhunt shifted with a chilling intensity. The search was no longer for a missing vlogger. It was for an alleged killer who had vanished into thin air. The renewed hunt for Brian Laundrie returned to his home state of Florida, specifically the sprawling, foreboding Carlton Reserve. This vast wilderness, a nightmarish labyrinth of swamp, marshland, dense vegetation, and infested with alligators and venomous snakes, became the stage for a brutal, incredibly challenging search. Hundreds of law enforcement officers once again braved the extreme conditions, battling the elements and the clock, desperately trying to locate Brian before he could fully disappear or perish in the unforgiving environment. As the days turned into weeks, the pressure on the Laundrie family reached unprecedented levels. Protesters gathered outside their home, accusing them of withholding information and shielding a killer. The public's outrage simmered, fueled by the agonizing wait for answers and the perceived lack of cooperation from Brian's parents. The case was a relentless cycle of dread, false hopes, and a grinding, determined pursuit through some of America's most challenging terrains, all while the question of Brian Laundrie's fate and Gabby's final moments hung heavy in the air. The relentless, harrowing search for Brian Laundrie in the unforgiving Carlton Reserve stretched for weeks, captivating and frustrating a nation. The swampy, alligator-infested wilderness seemed to swallow him whole. Then on October 20th, 2021, over a month after his disappearance, the agonizing hunt finally came to an end. Brian Laundrie's remains were discovered in a section of the reserve that had previously been submerged underwater. His death was officially ruled a suicide by gunshot wound to the head. With Brian Laundrie's discovery, the immediate, terrifying manhunt concluded. The prime suspect in Gabby Petito's murder was no longer at large. However, this brought not a sense of complete closure, but a new layer of complex questions. Crucially, near Brian's body, investigators found a waterproof notebook. Within its pages, Brian had allegedly written a confession to Gabby's murder. He claimed it was an act of compassion after Gabby suffered a severe injury in a fall, suggesting he ended her life to spare her pain. He described his ensuing panic and his desperate attempt to cover up the crime, returning home alone in the van. Brian's death and his chilling confession brought a partial resolution, identifying the killer. Yet, for Gabby's grieving family and the captivated public, it left a profound and aching void. The full scope of his motives, the precise timeline of events, and whether his confession was the complete, unvarnished truth remained shrouded in ambiguity. Was it truly a mercy killing or a narrative crafted to mitigate his actions? There would be no trial, no public testimony, no cross-examination to truly dissect his claims and provide definitive answers. The Gabby Petito case, though tragically resolved in terms of identifying the perpetrator, left behind numerous lingering questions and passionate debates. What truly happened in those final moments in the wilderness? What role, if any, did Brian's family play in his evasion? The tragic story ignited crucial conversations nationwide about domestic violence in relationships, particularly those hidden behind seemingly perfect online facades. It highlighted the importance of recognizing warning signs and seeking help, often before it's too late. Gabby Petito's name became a powerful symbol for countless other missing persons cases, especially those involving young women. Her story galvanized public awareness and spurred legislative efforts to improve responses to domestic violence incidents. Her dream of van life ended in an unimaginable nightmare, but her tragic legacy continues to resonate, serving as a solemn reminder of hidden dangers and the enduring, haunting whisper of an unanswered why that echoes across the American wilderness.